straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right, on the show today, the Indian men's cricket team is whitewashed once more, this time by world champion South Africa, a major speed bump in India's World Test Championship ambitions. But what has gone so horribly wrong for a side that was threatening at home? This even as head coach Gautam Gambhir stands his ground at a packed press conference. Vinicius Jr is delaying contract talks, say reports. What's going on in the Real Madrid locker room is a case of egos clashing. And is Vinicius putting himself above a whole club? And the last one on the list is not just a story, it's a stand, our firm stand in a matter that shouldn't even be discussed or debated anymore. My views on the most toxic, turbulent news story that is now doing the rounds. Stay on for more on this, but first the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with football, Portuguese maestro Cristiano Ronaldo will feature in his side's World Cup opener in 2026. After his violent conduct against Ireland in a World Cup qualifier, Ronaldo was handed a red card and a 3-match suspension. The Al Nassr captain served his 1-match ban, and in a revised verdict, the rest of the suspension has been put on probation. If Ronaldo commits a similar conduct during the 1-year period, the ban will be activated again. Champions League, Chelsea crushed 10-men Barcelona 3-0. Spanish prodigy Lamine Yamal was completely overshadowed at Stamford Bridge. An own goal from Jules Koundé shifted the momentum in Chelsea's favour. Brazilian sensation Estevao then doubled the lead. Liam Delap scored the final goal. Cricket, Sri Lanka keep their tri-series final hopes alive with a 9-wicket win over Zimbabwe. Vaninda Hasiranga and Mahisha Tikshana picked 2 wickets each to bowl Zimbabwe out for 146, while batting Pathum Nissanka scored 98 to help Sri Lanka chase the target in 16 overs. They next face Pakistan in an attempt to book a spot in the final. In chess, Grandmaster Andrei Esipenko has become the last player to book a spot at the candidates. Esipenko beat Nodirbek Yakubov 2-0 in the 2025 FIDE World Cup third spot match. He also won $60,000 for his FIDE World Cup finish. The winner of candidates event, of course, will face Gukesh Domaraju in the World Championship final. And summing it up with basketball, a 16-year-old national level player died on court in India's Rohtak. Hardik Rathi was practicing alone, and as he went for the dunk, the pole fell on him. Players in the adjacent court tried helping Hardik, but severe injuries led to his death. Indian cricket is standing at a crossroads. For years, we were called the home track bullies. Then we reinvented ourselves and became ambassadors of Test cricket, a team that carried the longest format on its shoulders, a team that turned India into the most feared fortress in world cricket. Today, that fortress has cracks. The recent results show something India never quite imagined. They are crumbling at home. After New Zealand, South Africa have now whitewashed India, a first series win for the Proteas in India since 2000. A record that stood resolute up until this point. And this transition phase, it's not moving the way we perceived it would. The South Africa Test series was a reminder that the gap between what India were and what India are becoming is widening fast. Criticism, memes, trolling, this Indian setup is under siege. Now, after losing the first test inside 3 days, there still was optimism in that dressing room, optimism all around. Fans believed different pitch, different conditions, this team will bounce back. Guwahati offered pace, bounce, carry, a refreshing change, and a little something for everyone over the course of the 5 days that it played out. And ironically, the visitors made the better use of it. South Africa piled on 490 in that first innings, then put on a bowling clinic, bundling India out for 201. Marco Jansen, the player of the match, was tall, relentless and vicious with the short ball. Asked India questions they simply had no answers to. From that moment, India shifted from trying to win that test somehow to level to trying to survive. Even so, survival didn't come. The pacey wicket eased out for batting and South Africa showed how to make the most of it. Again, They posted a mammoth 549-run target and with it exposed India's biggest demon, spin at home. Simon Harmer ripped through that top order. First Yashasvi Jaiswal and then KL Rahul walked back on a dismissal that even Anil Kumble couldn't stop himself from trolling about. What followed? India getting all out for 140, and that moment sums up the current state. There's confusion, there's lack of clarity, and a team that's clearly searching for itself as one match after the other just keeps rolling on. A team that seems to be going through the motions. Now, once upon a time, many other countries feared touring India. Winning even a single test here was a sense of achievement because you had to really double down and work hard to cross the line. India's monstrous team would stop you in your tracks with the ball and the bat. Series wins here was legendary, and the numbers prove it. India lost just 4 tests at home across 7 years. They've lost 5 now in the last 12 months. This isn't a blip, it's now becoming a bit of a pattern. It was believed that the New Zealand whitewash was just a one-off, something that you could wipe the slate clean from. But South Africa doing it now shows the cracks are widening and the opposition isn't holding back.
We wanted India to spend as much time on their feet out in the field. We wanted them to really grovel, to steal a phrase, bat them completely out the game and then say to them, well, come and survive on the last day and an hour this evening.
One word from that quote, grovel, exploded across social media platforms because this word, of course, carries weight. Tony Greig, 1976, the West Indies, it carries racial undertones. Of course, that could just be an oversight coming from someone like Shukri Conrad, who is known to have transformed a divided and a troubled South African cricket unit. And dwelling on this probably unintentional insult would only derail us here from the more important matter at hand. Truth is, South Africa came with a plan, a detailed, disciplined, ruthless plan to rout India, and the hosts simply didn't turn up. Experts and many cricket voices who've observed Indian cricket over the years have been rather blunt and brutal. India are not getting their combinations right. They aren't adapting to conditions. They aren't reading pitches and tracks well enough. And the transition from that Rohit Kohli era to the next generation feels rather chaotic and disjointed. Younger players are talented, there's no doubt there. But Test cricket demands much, much more. It demands patience, game awareness, and solid temperament. Qualities that must be built, not assumed. And yes, it takes time.
I hate using this word, transition. But this is exactly what transition is. When your batting lineup has played fewer than 15-20 Test matches, they need time. Hopefully, they keep learning.
Well, something we've been saying all along, but is this the kind of communication or the messaging that's being sent across in that dressing room? Jaiswal showed fight in that first innings, but fell to his temptations in the second. KL Rahul too struggled through the series. Sure, Shubman Gill's omission was a massive hit. His absence did affect that Indian lineup, but is India going to be too reliant on just one player to pull them through? Rishabh Pant, who was expected to step up here, threw away his wicket in that first innings and in the second, succumbed to spin. As a captain, he had the responsibility to carry the team forward and not carry his template alone. Let's be clear, there's no harm in rebuilding, but there is harm in not accepting that rebuilding is the need of the hour. So what's the path forward here? India needs clarity. Whether it's in selection, in role definition, in leadership. They need hunger. They need the same hunger that once made this very country, this cricketing nation, unstoppable at home. And they need to embrace the fact that this is a new chapter, whether you like it or not, and one that requires time, patience, and painful lessons learned. South Africa didn't just beat India. They exposed the current Indian setup and the cricket here, exposed the cracks, the decision-making gaps, the lack of direction, and reminded the world that dominance is not a permanent fixture. You must earn it with every series, with every match and every single session. Because if the last decade taught us anything, it's that India can be giants. The question now is, do they still remember how? Real Madrid and Vinicius Jr., a relationship once built on love, loyalty and limitless potential, is now showing visible cracks. The fairy tale is wobbling and a breakup suddenly doesn't look impossible. Reports from Spain are loud and clear. Vinicius Jr. is stalling his contract extension. The question is simple here. Is this a disagreement within that locker room, or has Vinicius started believing he's far bigger than Real Madrid itself? Now, Vinicius Jr.'s Spanish journey has never been smooth. The Brazilian arrived as a teenager in 2018, carrying the weight of expectations from one of the biggest clubs in world football. He had to fight for every inch of respect. He had to win over his teammates, win over fans, and sometimes even win over his own dressing room. And we all remember the moment when Karim Benzema was caught on camera telling teammates, "Don't pass to him, he's playing against us." Vinicius didn't react. He only responded the way he knew best, through his football. And then came the darkest battles, effigies hanging from bridges, monkey chants echoing across stadiums, racial taunts, insults and vile criticism. A 7-year marathon of hate. Any other player would have cracked. But Vinicius, even though vulnerable, stood fierce, stubborn, unbreakable. He was the man, the moment, the face of Madrid's new era. But football moves fast. Vinicius' current contract runs up till 2027, but Madrid wanted to extend early, secure their star for the future. Reports now say, though, that Vinicius is hesitating, delaying, demanding more than what the club expected. Madrid reportedly offered around $24 million. Vinicius countered with $34 million. Bonuses, signing bonus and additional perks, a package that would place him at Cristiano Ronaldo levels during his peak Madrid era. Why the sudden jump? Insiders say Mbappe's arrival changed everything. Mbappe earns more. Mbappe has the marketing pull. He has the spotlight Vinicius once enjoyed. But here's the irony. Because of Vinicius, Mbappe is playing out of position. And because Mbappe is playing out of position, both players are struggling. Vinicius is no longer the automatic starter he once was. He has slipped in Xabi Alonso's pecking order. The numbers tell that story. Across 17 matches, 5 goals, only 5 assists. Let's talk Champions League. 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 impact across 4. Not the Vinicius Madrid built their project around. And then there is the attitude problem. You remember the El Clasico incident? Xabi Alonso substituted him, and instead of accepting a tactical decision by the coach, Vinicius exploded publicly. Gestures, arguments, confrontation, everything a manager hates. Alonso, to his credit, diffused the situation and rather gracefully. But Vinicius' apology, it didn't even mention Alonso's name. Reports now claim the fallout with Alonso is one of the main reasons why Vinicius is refusing to sign that extension. But here's the larger question: why is Vinicius risking everything he's earned so far on ego? Because let's face it, Madrid are finally stable under Xabi Alonso. Top of La Liga, one loss in Champions League, a massive improvement from last year's chaos. The board will absolutely back Alonso. That means in this standoff, Vinicius stands to lose. He's giving away something he's earned through years of fight, tears, passion. Instead of escalating tensions, he should be doing everything he can to win back his place, not drift away from the club that built him up.
I believe Vinny needs to understand who is in charge and respect that authority. Things that come out of him which sometimes aren't well received can be corrected through dialogue.
Two simple words there from a Spanish legend: respect and dialogue. Vinicius seems to forget something crucial. Real Madrid stood by him when the world didn't. When he was racially abused, Madrid fought. When he was attacked, Madrid defended. And when he was snubbed for that Ballon d'Or, Madrid boycotted the whole ceremony in solidarity with him. This club didn't just give him a platform to shine, it gave him protection. It gave him power, it gave him a global icon. It made him a global icon. Every footballer faces criticism, every footballer has disagreements. But only a few understand the importance of timing, respect and humility. Right now, one road leads to Real Madrid greatness. The other leads to a messy exit, broken relationships and a legacy overshadowed by ego. Well, the decision, of course, is ultimately his. Maybe it's time for Vinicius to remember why he fell in love with this club in the first place. Our next story is not so much a story but a stand, a statement, one that needs to be taken and made now, before we are consumed with the train wreck that this one episode has already turned into. We are witnessing a spectator sport of a different kind. What a mockery sports coverage has devolved into, barely weeks after we as a nation, a sports-loving, hero-building nation, was celebrating a historical moment. Have we forgotten the line between curiosity and gossip, and has that blurred to take us all in a downward spiral, pulling down an athlete along with us who, in fact, spent most of her life fighting hard to climb up despite it all? And that's when we, as empathetic, evolved individuals, at least that's the goal, need to say stop, and it's enough. One of the biggest superstars of Indian cricket, Smriti Mandhana, announced her engagement on her own social media platform in a manner that made us all realize how real, powerful and happy this moment was for her and her loved ones. The celebrations, the music, the pictures, all bringing us joy right after a euphoric World Cup win. Picture perfect, we all thought, but once those festivities halted, for whatever reason, the tireless social media gossip accounts started working overtime, selling news of another kind. Now, if you are expecting a tell-all, the inside scoop, behind-the-scenes anecdotes, what really went wrong, the real dope, as they say, then you clearly have made the wrong pit stop. I'm here to say that all of these speculations, the chatter, the prying, constant hounding everyone connected to Mandhana for a comment, this urge to know all, and let's face it, the bottom line, this voyeurism has to stop. Are we forgetting that this is someone who just won us all a World Cup that has evaded India for decades? Smriti Mandhana is a champion, a once-in-a-generation talent, a young girl who fought hard to make it to the grandest stage in a sport that, quite frankly, was never kind to the other gender, where women had to wear loose clothes, chop off their hair, tweak their own identity, and then defy a rigorous conditioning, conservative family, doubting relatives, nosy neighbors, unrelenting coaches, to just about make it to a ground. Smriti, along with many of her own teammates, represent that kind of a success story that came from her and her belief alone. Sure, she has had a strong support system, but listening to these women cricketers post that World Cup winning haze, you all will have to come to realize that this was a dream that they had to have dreamt solo, each of them. No beauty of collective vision here. It was a journey each of them undertook alone. Smriti Mandhana endured all of this to become one of the most dominant southpaw batters this country has ever produced. She not only marched forward in her quest to be the best, she did all she could to be there for her teammates along the way, helped her close friends shine, and pulled them out of depths of despair. All she wants now is some space. Why can't we give her that? Space from non-prying posts, from those reels, from camera crews following them everywhere, space from trolls and hate mongers who love to snark and comment at any misfortune. Find that to be fodder enough to create memes and jokes that, quite frankly, are not funny. And while gossip is as old as time, here's what's not: social media. It's not Chinese whispers and tea party gatherings who do the job now. One click of a button, a seemingly innocuous post, and it's out there, getting multiplied with the technology only aiding and abetting. The algorithm of this wonderful system will do the rest. That's the truth today. These athletes, they live in a time where a mental upheaval can sneak up on them faster than a curveball on the field or an injury tackling one. We've heard the best in the business speak about mental health. Then there's the argument of being a celebrity, and that's how you open yourself up to it, almost as if they asked for it. Putting up pictures or videos of her happy memories or pulling them down, it's the agency she exercised. A line has been clearly crossed in an attempt to cover news. And while we all can critique and analyze performances or the lack of it, certain actions or comments that go against a particular value system that's in place, it is our duty to question something else too. It isn't our job to hound and create an environment so toxic, especially when it comes to sportsperson's personal space, that she'd think her cricketing journey to getting here, which was fraught with roadblocks, was probably easier. Even now, Smriti Mandhana doesn't need saving. All we need to tell ourselves is that surely there are more things paramount in the sporting world today that needs far more attention. Time for last serve. Thanksgiving is still some hours away, but for members of the LA Clippers staff, it came early at a charity event. Los Angeles Clippers players serve Thanksgiving meals to seniors and veterans. Take a look.
I love Thanksgiving as a whole. I think it just brings families together, or just groups of people together. So just being able to honestly meet fans that I haven't met before, but also, you know, hand out some dessert. So I'm not a big...
That wraps it up here on Firstpost. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.
I wore the crown of a revolutionary. I promised to lift my nation. I claimed to fight imperialism. I became the very thing I warned against. I funded militias across continents. I feared my own shadow. Some called me the King of Kings. History calls me something else. The dictator. Who am I?